what you doing? What you doing? What you doing? I was just filming a quick swatch video, and just FYI, I still have my cough, so I'm gonna try and not cough or anything on the live. So if I go mute, that's why. If you're interested, the paints that I swatched were from this company. Let's see. What we're doing is we're doing Camille Pissarro. And it is that one right there. Excuse me. Seems light or dark in here to me. Sorry. Make sure everything's bright enough, because it doesn't look like it's bright enough on. Is that too bright? Maybe too bright. Okay. Sorry about all the messing around. I should have already had this set up, but I'm sure you understand. According to my notes, I don't have to use a very big palette to get colors like his. He used a very basic palette. Oh, oops, look at that. Hence why I wear gloves. That's the cad orange from those samples I just swatched too, by the way. Lots of pigment. I need wipes in here. Okay, let's get some gloves on to protect myself. Should have already had them on. Camille Pissarro was an interesting one. I saw a lot of... I don't like how that's... Oh, that's why. It's because that black glove. So let me just use my hand. Is it still going to do that? No, not too bad. Whoops. Again, I apologize for not being totally prepared. I'll chop this part off when it goes live. Let's see here. I'm just pulling up my notes. There will be a time lapse and a short from this. Where are you? Oh, it's right there. It's right the first, because I already had it open. There is a link in the description below that says more information about him. Let me get my... This is true to life here. Getting stuff ready. I need yellow ochre, which is what that is, I hope. Naples yellow. I think what I actually have is cad yellow, but I am going to go with it. And just just FYI, I had to use my inhaler this morning, again, because of my allergies and all. So if my hands shake a little bit, that's why. Ultramarine blue. Try and get a little more out of there. That looks more like cobalt than ultramarine. I think it is. That's okay. Lemon yellow, burnt sienna. There's my ultramarine blue, and there's my burnt sienna. Ultramarine. And again, I tend to gravitate toward these 1980s because they are the price and the quality. If you go to their Instagram, they have a wonderful video about the colors that they use and how they make them. Okay, I'm not seeing. Oh, right there it is. It's right in front of me. If it was a snake, it would have bit me. A little raw umber. There's lots of earth tones and natural pigments in here. And it says from this, from my notes, I should be able to mix 85% of the landscape. Now I'm going to do just a section of the landscape. I'm not going to do the whole thing because this is 8 by 8 and we would be pushing it. With those colors, I have titanium white, yellow ochre, cad yellow, ultramarine blue, burnt umber, and burnt sienna, I believe. I'm sorry, raw umber. I stand corrected. And then for a little spice of color, we can use some Viridian, which I have some Holbein, cobalt blue, which I got a little bit on there earlier by mistake because I thought it was my ultramarine blue. And it says a violet, and I have a dioxazine here. Ugh. I'm sorry again that I am not already. Usually I am already ready to start doing the stuff, but today I'm a little under the weather because of allergies and asthma, and so I'm giving myself some grace. Okay, so I got that, and then that's it. Everything else is just dessert, it says. Okie dokie. I also have some mineral spirits and some walnut oil here. I have a few brushes. Most of them are Transin, or these are the Transins. And then I've got some Rosemary and Co. And then I've got, well, that's another Transin. These are just inexpensive Walmart, what is that, long, yeah. Okay, so I'm going to get out my, I know this is, I'm going to read a little bit about him and his life while I do this. I want to focus on this example here that we have. I want to focus on the tree in the middle, the main one you see there. Then there's that red building back here, or reddish orangish. And then these shadows down here, and then there's 2 more trees you can see. And what I'm going to do is just use some mineral spirits mixed with my burnt umber. And just kind of draw this out a little bit. Now this is very rough. This is not the last that you will see of changes. For some people, this is the most boring part. For me, I think it's exciting to see how it starts. But I am using oil paints. I'm using a variety of brands, but most of them are the 1980. Gamblin'. Get this negative space in here. That tree has a whoop. And I need to pay attention to soft and hard edges on here also, once I get into it a little more. And then over here, not too far away, that's not a tree, that's a person. I thought that was a tree. There's a person right here. Now this is just a study. It won't be perfect. I usually try and get at least somewhat close to what they have, because to me that's somewhat important. There is a shine on this paint on the original, so some of the texture on the surface is hard to read. I'm going to go through and just, this is primarily just value. That's all I'm worried about right here. Hey Yellow, how are you? What's going on? Are you in the US by chance? This is our Thanksgiving week. I want this stuff watered down a lot because I want this down here, these shadows, to have a blue grayish tone in them. Yes, it is Camille Pissarro. Thank you for the reminder because I have notes here. It says, my notes say, try to mix 3 values of every color. So you've got a light, medium, and dark. I don't know if that was because what he did, or just I found that somewhere as a general rule because I've seen that elsewhere. Sorry, I will be babbling. If you have any questions, anyone, it's fine. Okay, one warm, one cool, one neutral. Pissarro, again, it is because it's him. He loved the quiet vibration of temperatures across a surface. It makes the trees look alive because their green shift from a light to dark. You are in the U.S. You're in Tennessee. Are your leaves changing there, or have they already? And it's the pretty part's done. I'm in Kansas, and right now everything's kind of a dull gray. Already. There's a few areas that have pretty colors, but you know, you have the tree ever so often on a block that there is a building up here. Again, I'm doing a section of the painting because it is a study and not a copy. Are you doing anything for Thanksgiving? My husband and I were just talking about what we wanted to do. We're not very well prepared. We don't already have like the turkey, and I don't even know if that's what we want. We may have chicken and dumplings. The Reams noodles. Excuse me, sorry. I'm going to try and not cough. Staying in. Yep, so are we. Yeah. Oh, Pissarro. He loved painting the bones of the landscape. Let's see, I'm going to mix a little of this yellow ochre with some cobalt blue and a little bit of yellow to get that green that's in here. The humble curves of a road and the gentle shuffle of villagers, hence why I just did not see that person. Chestnut Trees is one of those works where he leans into structure and atmosphere at the same time. You get these craggly trunks, but also the soft impressionist shimmer of color. And I'm going to go ahead. I'm still using just mineral spirits on this, and this will dry fairly quickly. I did prime this paper. It's a Bristol paper, but it tends to be fine to paint over. Without a lot of work. If I do this top layer as ooh, I love that. Too bad it's going to be hidden. If I do this with just mineral spirits, he was the only Impressionist that exhibited in all 8 Impressionist exhibits. I did do another study from him previously, but I believe it was a portrait. It's been a while. I've been doing these all year on like Mondays. And I do them. I get the turkey breast if I can find it. Yeah, see, I think I might be too late. It's, yeah, being Monday before Thanksgiving. I don't know. A little. Excuse me. All I'm worried about at this point is getting the surface covered with information that will help me put another layer on top of it. I have coffee, but it's not hot. Because I am coughing and all every so often, I probably need to take a break at the top of the hour just to heat up my coffee. It's 20 after right now, so I should be good for a while. I've got cough drops here. See, I wondered about the turkey breast being too dry. But we both decided to go with the chicken and noodles, because that way if we're doing something else too, like if I want to paint, I can have it in the crock pot. My husband just sent me something about a charge on the credit card. Let me just see. There's a charge on the card for that. I didn't make it, did you? Oh, that's it. Yeah, that's a scam. He tends to be very check card direct. Sure. It's a scam. Holiday season, everybody's getting a little more desperate. My husband, bless his soul, he is so honest. He would be that person that got the phone call where they claimed it was your grandchild in jail, and he would go on a mission to save his grandchild if his grandchild was sitting at home with their feet up. So he's one of those. Not that he's not, yeah, well, he's gullible. Sorry, I love him. He's the sweetest guy ever, but that's part of why he's the sweetest guy ever. He just, yeah, that's a little bit too orangey, I think. Walmart Plus. Well, did you? Sorry, he did go. Let's see. I'm sorry. Let me check this because you know how that is with. No. Count. Nope. Sorry, I'll have to let him deal with it. You'll have to deal with. I am streaming. But no. Haven't used. Whoops, I just closed my notes. There we go. Okay, now we're all on the same page. Sorry about that. Pissarro. Let's see. He was a steadfast one, even when everyone else started wandering off into their competitive weirdness, which I'm not really quite sure what the competitive weirdness is, but he tended to stay true to himself and did not he basically put his head down and worked, and he didn't get into the trauma, is how I would take it. I'm putting these in there. These paintbrushes that I'm using are Transin, and I mention them often because I've had wonderful luck with them, and they are very budget friendly. Yes, I believe so. Let's see. He was born in 1830, and I think Monet was similar. I'm checking just to verify. Oh, he was born in 1840. Monet was, and passed away in 1926 in France. So he was born 10 years earlier than Monet. During that time, he painted many of the rural tree-lined scenes. I really like doing the abstract qualities that you can find in here. I find really interesting in landscapes, and I wonder if that isn't part of what. And I just got violet on there where I didn't intend to, but I think it'll be okay. I thought it was my burnt umber. That's okay. And in here, there's some of that. You can manipulate this fairly easily while it's still walnut, or not walnut oil, but just mineral spirits. And that is much too yellow. Let's put just a little bit of that purple in there to tone it down, gray it out. Yeah, it'll, because I only do this in one setting, I have to do it with working the traditional way of thin to fat, and so that's why I just use mineral spirits, and then at the end I'll start using my walnut oil. Walnut oil slows down the painting, or slows down the drawing. Let's scoot this over. There we go. That's better. It slows down the drying, and so it will allow me to put it on top of the mineral spirited part. If it happens to still be a little damp, it'll still go over it. I have this want to put blue in these shadows, and I don't see it in there. I don't like putting white in here because it kind of dulls the color, but that looked a little too much in there. He had a habit of encouraging younger artists who would later overshadow him. Monet, Cézanne, and Gauguin. He was basically the Impressionist gentle dad who also happened to paint like a wizard. That would be a wonderful thing to have, I would think. Somebody around that Do you have local people, or do you feel like you have somebody that works as a mentor for you in Tennessee? The reason I asked too is I'm in Kansas, and there are a few people that paint, but they don't necessarily paint how I want to. Hence why I do a lot of master studies. I mean, they paint fine for what they're doing, but it's just not, it's not my. We had a gentleman that lived here that was very popular, that did a lot of like duck stamp type stuff, and that's just not my vibe. So it's really great that these works are available to us to study and look at close. I know it would be wonderful if I could see it in person. It's just not the same to see them online, but there are some really high resolution images available. And I just think that's really awesome. I know the Met has some things. You do not. Yeah, I feel you. I feel you. It's I am mixing a little bit of ultramarine blue with this burnt umber to get it really dark in those areas. Let me get that. It says chestnut is sneaky. Chestnut bark is sneaky. It's not just brown. You have to look for lavender shadows, mossy greens, soft grays. He always tucks surprises into his tree trunks, like little colored Easter eggs. And this tape will come off and it will give me this blue tape, and it'll give me a nice clean edge. I'm getting some pale spring green in there, in here. Excuse me. Let's see. There's lots of soft edges on this that are really interesting. And I see that this red, this is more orange than it should be. It should be more red. So I will try to fix that eventually. Let's see, Pissarro. For the palette, I needed to echo his vibe, I needed to lean into earthy impressionist tones like ochres, umbers, Naples yellow, Viridian, or a green mix, warm red, the ultramarine, and maybe a dash of cobalt here and there for some of the atmosphere. Oh, excuse me. Please forgive me. And I'm still kind of just layering in that first layer, and there's 3 trees over here, not just those 2. I need to try to paint a whole thing with just one brush to keep it really loose. If you hear a dog also, the studio dog is Poncho is over or in here. Hubby figured it out. I had faith. Excuse me. I'm so sorry. Pissarro was born in 1830 on the island of St. Thomas in the Caribbean. Picture tropical light, salty air, and the young Pissarro sketching instead of doing absolutely anything his parents wanted him to do. His family ran a hardware store, and he wanted to draw boats. And I guess there was tension in between there, between the two. I can understand that. I didn't have that issue, but I was the first person in my family to go to college. Beyond an associate's. My older siblings had associates. And that's not to say they weren't smart, because they definitely, and my parents. But I didn't get a lot of pushback on doing artwork. Green, yellow, and orange. Yeah. It's very yeah. I'm getting a cough drop, so I'm not there we go. Eventually, he escaped to Venezuela with a friend. A little dramatic, yes, and worked as an artist there. And then he was so hungry to learn that he went to Europe to learn from the greats. Wouldn't that be wonderful to just be able to take off and go to Europe or somewhere, wherever your teacher is? I envy people that can do that. There's kind of a bluish green there. I'm just going to keep building this up until it tells me not to. I guess I'm trying to imagine what the world was like when he painted these with these colors, because you would have been looking at people doing lots of landscapes that were, where are those hippies? Yeah, where are those? I saw something yesterday. Oh, what is her name? The lead singer for Air Supply? Is it Air Supply? No, Fleetwood Mac. About the song Gypsy. And that it was about her life before she became famous. She could just come and go as she pleased. Composition wise, I got this a little, well, a lot too central. The original, like you can see, is, yeah, there's another tree over there, and let's get this tree back in here. My mineral spirits kind of took it out. If I could, I would do master studies every day of the week. I think they're just so fun. But I know I need to get my own work accomplished. Stevie Nicks, thank you. Thank you very much. Yep. I have some family friends that have, all the girls in their family have this blonde hair. And they say she is her or Lady Gaga are their long lost sibling. I heard a tip the other day that was really helpful. If you're doing items that are far away in the distance, however you paint the sky, you need to mix that color in with your items, like your mountains or whatever. Because that is your atmosphere. It will give you the right color option. Yeah, Van Goghs. Ugh. I have like 6 weeks until the end of the year, and like I said, I've been doing these most of the year, and so I went back through and chose the ones that were the most popular, and to do during this next few weeks that's left in 25, and Van Gogh was one of them. I can't think of what it is though. Let's see. Oh, it's sunflowers, of course. I think the last time I did a portrait of him, it was a self-portrait that he had done. And that's what I need to paint next. myself. I need to do a self-portrait. I haven't done one in a while. I have an exhibit. I know this you don't care about this, but nobody asked. I have an exhibit coming up next year, and I want to do a self-portrait for part of it, for at least one of the pieces. Let's see, Pissarro. Let's see. When he moved to Europe, he moved to Paris, where he basically dug into art like a kid who found a secret cookie stash. He was just like a sponge. Can you imagine? Like I said, just being able to. I wonder if his family was wealthy and if they helped him with living expenses at all, or if there was too much animosity, or there's a little doohickey on there. I need to make a note of that so I can look some of these things up. Yeah, there's like a greenish hue in here. We're getting that reflection from the outside. Is that not helping? No, it's not really helping, is it? There we go. That's better. I have two overhead lights, or two lights at 45-degree angles. And sometimes the light outside and it just don't work together. I'm going in here kind of on the negative space to get a few of those little areas that... Oh, yeah, yeah, I don't have it when I do it, yeah. It won't be till June. I'm sure I'll have quite a few videos and things of it up. Because I don't really show that much. And that was one reason I set this up, in fact. It's not, it's just a co-op gallery. It's not like a New York gallery or anything like that. And in fact, I'm on the board. So I just said, hey, I'm going to do this. Somebody had commented it had been a while since I had done one for them. And so it helped get me motivated to get work done. I still need to get enough to make a full exhibit. I wish I could do these studies as part of it, but traditionally that's just not really done. let's see, the Franco-Prussian War. He eventually got involved in that, but he was the heart of the Impressionist group, not its flashiest member, but its moral compass. When Monet was despairing, Pissarro encouraged him. When Cézanne doubted himself, Pissarro coaxed him forward, and when Gauguin was lost in his early years, Pissarro was there. He was the glue holding a bunch of highly temperamental painters together. I think that is awesome. The Franco-Prussian War tossed his life into chaos. He had to flee his home. And when he returned, many of his early paintings had literally been destroyed. Can you imagine? That was Poncho, by the way, that sound. Have you heard it? Imagine coming home and discovering your work has been used as military bootliners. Well, you know, I'm sure it was the enemy, but I know this, yeah, but if it was my guys and they needed paper to line their boots to stay alive, I think many of us would say go for it. But still, that's sad that he came home. Later in life, he developed an eye infection that made outdoor painting difficult. So he painted from windows. He would rent hotel rooms and just look out the window and paint. Now it says an eye infection, but I wonder what eye infection would cause that, because that sounds more like macular degeneration, or to me, I'm not a doctor, so, and I don't play one on the internet. He would rent apartments and rooms with a view. Anywhere he could find a good view, he would rent a place. And those soft, airy cityscapes he made later in life, that's why they were like that, was because he had eye issues. I really am wondering now too, like what his eye condition was. I'll have to look into that. By the way, if you have never painted and tried to talk at the same time, I highly suggest it. It's interesting. It's an entirely different view, no pun intended. Is Papa Pissarro legend among the Impressionists? He was known to be calm and wise, and everybody treated him like he was their art dad. Meanwhile, Monet was off having emotional weather systems, and Pissarro just quietly kept the group glued together. I do love Monet. Monet. His, see, I'm seeing this line is too down, so I'm going to push this up. So this is, I know there's still a little bit of a highlight on there, but I can't paint in the dark. Push that up and push this down. A little closer, yeah. This is starting to dry now, the under with the mineral spirits, so I can start developing it a little bit more. And I see mine is more the greens are really showing up. As a young man in St. Thomas, his parents wanted him to work in the family hardware store, and he wanted to do literally anything else. Oops, that's too much. I wonder why. I mean, I know he loved, is there a reason he couldn't do both? Was there something else going on in his family that caused turmoil? Yeah, see, that's way too yellow there. It needs some. Let's tone down just a little. I'm still sort of just blocking in the colors. I'm not. Excuse me, so sorry. Is that closer? Yeah, that's closer. I realized I was just talking to myself. Some of the best conversations I've had. Let's see. When he shipped off to Venezuela with a friend in the early 1800s, it was like an 1800s art-themed buddy movie. They just took off and did their thing. And that window's, I do see that window's crooked. We'll get it straightened out. He refused to tear people down. If someone asked, "Is my painting terrible?" Pissarro would say something like, "Well, let's explore where the color could breathe more." He seemed constitutionally incapable of being mean. In the middle of the 19th century Paris art circles, that made him practically an alien. So he was a nice guy. That's good to know. I need that. Just down here. Trying not to get his brush strokes or anything too tight yet. Trying to leave it pretty open. Let's see, he was the anti-elitist rebel. Yes. Even though he's now considered an Impressionist legend, he disliked the idea of celebrity painters, and he believed that art belonged to everybody. So he definitely was not a, shall I say, Kincaid. Something came up with the other day with Kincaid. And, oh, I know what it was. Some people, some artists wanted to go in together and get a Kincaid and paint over it with kind of like how they do ghost and on a lot of paintings now on YouTube. They'll go to like thrift stores and get paintings, and they'll paint over them and put in like kitschy things. I know there's one that does like Bob's Burgers characters. which is really awesome. I think anyway. Now I'm still using a lot of brown, but I'm trying to keep the value so I can go in with some blue tones on things. And you might hear my furnace in the background. He believed art belonged to everyone, farmers, shopkeepers, workers, children, not just wealthy collectors. He was very much of a power to the people painter, which I think is pretty awesome. This yellow ochre in there. He was married and he had a whole bunch of kids. A whole baseball team or basketball team. Excuse me. Many of his children grew up to be artists. His family was basically a creative commune with crayons everywhere. Doesn't that just sound like heaven? I will say I'm a grandmother, and some of my favorite photos are when my grandkids were here in this room, and just they had their feet up on my desk and everything was a hot mess because they were making slime and painting and doing all that fun stuff. He married a Julie Villay, a woman who had worked as a household maid for his family. Their relationship was made of one of those steady, quiet partnerships that doesn't make headlines. But that kept him grounded. It helped to, it enabled him to be free to create because there was not that drama in his personal life. Which I find amazing. Flea markets, thank you. What did I say? Thrift stores? Excuse me. So sorry. Guess it is after on top of the hour. I don't want to quit. I'm going to stop and take a break. I want to just keep going. I mentioned there was a logo painter that did like duck stamp type work. He was a great guy. He really was. And he was very giving of his information and time, but it just was not. It was not what I wanted to paint. But I think he may have influenced a lot of people in the area without realizing it. Because a lot of people see that as quote-unquote art, and that's it's a good entry place, I think, if nothing else. Not to be an art snob. I am an art snob, am I saying? I'll admit it freely. There's just so much to learn. Like Bob Ross. A lot of people are into Bob Ross these days. I think there's things you can learn from him, though. Just don't, yeah. I try not to be too much of an art snob. I really do. What's that one? Artists don't want to be called artsy fartsy. They want to be called something else. I don't know how I got off on that. Let me get back to Pissarro. They had 8 children together. Not all of them survived. Tragically, in that era, it was not uncommon for children to die young or to die from diseases that are now preventable. But the ones who did grow up became a small constellation of artists. His oldest was Lucian Pissarro. They became a painter, printmaker, and founder of the Ergany Press. Which I find really cool. The next in line was George Henri, or Henry. He became a painter. Felix became a painter and lithographer. And we're still going. There's still some more. Ludwig Rodo became a printmaker and art historian. Now these are his children. Genet, or Manet, was beloved daughter who inspired many soft, tender portraits. And we all know how females that painted were often on the outside. So I wonder if she also painted and was just kind of overlooked. Paul Emile, the youngest, later became a successful landscape painter. Come on, just a little lighter. Trying to keep the texture in there of the building. While applying the paint. Basically, he started an Impressionist dynasty. Can you imagine the holidays at their house? Where they were like, pass the potatoes, that color's too cool, that color's too hot. I wonder if they sculpted their mashed potatoes. I don't mean that snarky either. I really, yeah. We all did that, didn't we? Didn't we all sculpt with our mashed potatoes and make mountains and little roads? He adored his family. They were often his models and muses, especially in his domestic scenes. He treated fatherhood the same way he treated painting, with patience, curiosity, and the belief that gentle attention can make things grow. Isn't that awesome? I'm seeing that this needs to come down. Okay, this is a good first layer, in my opinion. Let me scoot this light over because it's still casting a shadow or a highlight. Well, there we go. This is a number 6 filbert, by the way, of Transin. I am working on getting a set at Rosemary & Co. I have some chosen, but I want to make sure that I'm being accurate in what because I have a wide variety of paintbrushes, and I want them to be just like a basic set you can buy. And by the way, December 6th is my birthday. So I am going to be turning officially old. Here in a couple of weeks. Told hubby my plan for the rest of 2025 was just to stay as busy as possible painting, so I don't think about getting older or missing out on anything. Excuse me. Thank you. I appreciate it. Oh, I need to get my coffee, and I also need to get my battery charger. I failed to get that when I was filming before this. I will be right back. Come on, get out of there. Okay, I got the charger here. I still need to go warm up my coffee. And I'm probably going to give a puppy a treat. Shh, don't tell him that. But I will be right back. Let's see, there's my coffee cup. And my paintbrush. Okay, I will be right back. Got my hot coffee. Why is that? There we go. Okay. I'm gonna get my glove back on. I'm gonna get back at it. It's always good to take breaks every once in a while, if nothing else, so I can get a fresh look at it. And there's my rag. It's pretty well used up, I think. Time to get a new one. Coffee. I can see that this is not dark enough. So I will work on that. Let me see here. I'm just checking some things. I was looking up some music earlier on YouTube. There we go, sorry. Let me pull it up. There we go. I wanted a better view of what I'm working on that you see. So by pulling up YouTube, I can, it gets bigger on my screen. Then yeah, anyway, you don't care. You don't care about that. I'm adding a little yellow and yellow ochre. Just trying to lighten just certain areas in there with the pale yellow, where it looks like the sun is probably shining on the ground there. Looks like there's a fire pit or something over here. Whoops. So everybody's pretty much staying home for Thanksgiving if you're in the U.S. I'm going to start using a little bit of mineral or walnut oil, just a little. And I went down a brush. I'm using, I don't even think it's on here anymore. It's probably about a number 2 round. I think I got her bustier or whatever in the wrong position. As you can see, I'm just putting down color. I'm not trying to copy exactly what he's got going on there. It's more hard time getting that reddish that I see in there. I'm going to remove the reference photo for now, just to whoops, so that you can see more of the entire thing. One artist said to only use filberts. I think it's a personal preference, don't you? Just whatever works for you. I know some people love flats. I like filberts. I just don't use them for everything. I like just the shape, you know, that round. Round edge there. I might have to get some more yellow ochre, I think. Whoops. So do you prefer filberts? Is there a brand of brush or anything that you prefer more than others? I know I've tried a wide variety of them over the years. And when I first started out, I was very limited on what I could get because I grew up in a very rural area in Kansas. And, well, I still am. I'm still in a very rural area. And even like a Michael's or a Blick store is at least 100 miles away. And I mean that literally. It's 100 miles. We did recently get a bookstore here locally that's wonderful. And before then it was 100 miles to a bookstore. And it's a good bookstore. She's wonderful. The person that owns it's a family friend. And it just makes me so happy to see You're not crazy about any of them? You don't have like a preference that you're, oh, you know, um, Rosemary or Co. Or I know a lot of people really like them, and I've had good luck with them, but that's not the only ones I'll use. I think I may even have brushes over there from when I was in college. I won't say how long ago that's been. It's been a while. That reminds me, I was going to look and see if I had a Badger blender. I can remember purchasing one when I was younger. Yeah, I have to, unless I make a day trip of it. Like the other day, I ordered from Blick. They have these newer, they're like paint sticks, but they're smaller. They're more like the size of like an oil pastel, but they're oil paint. I saw Sandy Hester using them. She's here on YouTube. Well, she didn't use them, she got them to use. And I love doing oil pastels. So anyway, I ordered some of those. I had to order them from Blick. I'm old enough, it used to be Dick Blick, so. Dick Blick and Saks, you would order all the supplies from. Walmart does carry a few things now, but I know some of us try to avoid Walmart, but when you're in a rural location, sometimes it's not possible. I know they don't have, anyway, I ordered these paint sticks from R&F through Dick Blick, and I'm really excited about getting them. I keep checking. If you're not familiar with Sandy Hester, she's here on YouTube, and her artwork is very more primitive, I guess I would say. But she does give out a lot of really great information, even if that's not your thing. And she's fun to watch, to me. I think she's, yeah. Let's see. Anyway, she was the one that informed me about. I learned about it from one of her videos. Those paint sticks that are smaller. They're just easier to handle. And they're supposed to work more like an oil pastel. But oil pastels don't dry, and the oil paints do. So that's the main draw to me. Hester, Hester. She currently lives in England. She just moved there from Nashville, in fact. But she'll have hauls and things, and usually they're things I'm not familiar with, or things I've wanted to try. And she is an affiliate at Blick, so I feel like I'm going to order them anyway. So may as well spread the love a little bit. She's, I don't want to really guess at her age, but if I had to, it would be around maybe 50. And she's very proactive with her art as far as productivity. She's very prolific. She, it's somewhat like the frugal crafter to me. Her artwork is not what I would do, but I think her channel is very useful. I know frugal crafter would just be able to rattle off pigment colors, and that was not a way that I was familiar with, so because of her I made myself learn. It's good to know your materials a little better, but I can thank her for that. I think we are all just so lucky. Yeah, I took it off. Would you like me to put it back? I certainly can. Put it over there a little bit. There we go. Part of it is when I do a time lapse, if I use just this part and not have the reference photo in it, it works much better. But with it being over here where it is, it'll be fine. I woke up this morning at about 7:30 by my sweet eldest granddaughter, who I told her yesterday I'd woken up at like 4 the day before, so she probably just assumed I was awake. And who's it? Pissarro. So if you had to choose one, Monet or Van Gogh or Pissarro, who would you say is your favorite of that group? I believe Van Gogh was more of a post-impressionist. And I'm laying the paint on fairly thick now. My cat does. Oh, I didn't realize you could hear him. I didn't even think about it. He was shaking. He was laying on his blanket. Got up to get him a snack. I did say I was going to get him a, you know what, when I was up, didn't I? When he comes back in here, I'll go in there and get my treat jar and get him a little something. I keep a little jar of things for him on my other desk, where I usually keep my computer. We had Monets come through, the water lilies, at the Nelson. Gosh, it's probably been, I hate to admit it, but it's probably been 20 years ago. You learn or lean toward Van Gogh. I can understand why. Yeah, I like him too. I like his story. I like his art. Yeah. So I assume you have watched movies about him. Because there have been so many. Do you have like a favorite that you've watched that you're like, oh, I need to watch that again? The reason I ask is because I saw one on Klimt the other day, and I just could not get into it. It was on Prime. Oh, my alarm thingy just went off to tell me I need to drink some water. I think my favorite one was the one with Kirk Douglas, the older one. He just so became him in my mind. I wonder if it's streaming anywhere. I was just checking text. I've gotten several from granddaughter and hubby. Nothing important, thankfully. Let's get some green in here like we need. I think, didn't Kirk Douglas also do Michelangelo? I think so. Oh, Poncho just put his little head down on my feet. Yeah, I agree. If I remember right, that was part of his biography, was just how much he had taken over that is his personality when he was filming it. He was very much Kirk Douglas was. He was very much into playing the role. He was very much a method actor. That's the word I was trying to find. At least when it came to that particular role. I have this way too low. Now it's starting to get into, I need to remind myself it's not a copy. It's a study. Just something I often have to do. I am going to look up something about Pissarro. And when I look it up, the first thing that comes up is now, according to this, Pissarro predicted that Van Gogh would either go mad or leave the Impressionists far behind. I don't know how accurate that is, because it just came up. It just, and I'm not familiar with the source. It's the art newspaper. Interesting. Were Pissarro and Monet. Yep. My eyes are not adjusting to this like I hoped they would. I think I need to quit looking at my phone. Oh, that's what I was going to look at. I was going to look at about his eyes. Ironically, what the deal was. Oops. Pissarro eyes. Eye problem. Let's do that. Eye problem. Eye disease. And this is from the National Institute of Health. Camille Pissarro, the Dean of Impressionism, presented from 48 years dacrycititis. on his left eye and ipsilateral conjunctive chemosis temporarily. In that time, the treatment consisted in incision and drainage of the lacrimal sac and cauterization. Due to this chronic disease, he was forced to paint inside behind closed windows in order to avoid dust and wind. His painting reflects large crowds, Paris avenues, and buildings. I'm not familiar with Dacro. I'll have to look that up when I can. Because that has me curious. Yeah, I'm not sure what that really is. Do you know what the dacryositis? Let me Google it. Excuse me. Dacryositis history. It's not really taking me anywhere. It's an infection of the lacrimal sac. It's like down by your secondary to obstruction of the nasacral joint at the junction of the lacrimal sac. It causes redness, pain, and swelling over the inner aspect of the lower eyelid and epiphora. How do you treat it? Warm compresses and antibiotics. In more persistent or chronic cases, surgical procedures to clear the blockage. Will it go away on its own? Sometimes heal on its own, especially in infants, where many cases of a blocked tear duct resolve spontaneously within the first year of life. However, it's not guaranteed, and an untreated infection can lead to more serious complication. That's interesting. So he had like a infection in his tear duct. I think any type of infection with the eye would be very painful, especially during that time period when the antibiotics weren't an option. It's very interesting. I have to watch for macular. So I take precautions. precautions are available. Getting a little green in here. And this is where I'm at that point where I could probably quit because I've got the gist of what he had, but I want to keep going and make it look a little bit more like his and not just the feel. And I have to keep repeating to myself, it's a study, not a copy. This needs to come down more. Still. And this feels too wide to me, or too, yeah, this area. Or is it just my, I think it's just my view. Yellow ochre. This is the fun part when you're like really pushing around the paint. It's addictive. I love this like curl that those trees have. Texture. I think hubby said he was going to be home early today, so if you hear somebody come in and Poncho starts barking, I'm going to mute it so you don't have to deal with it. Because Poncho has a very sharp bark. He's a Jack Russell, and so it's very yeah. Get some of this shape in here. I feel like I don't have this whole area. I'm going to spend a little time on this funky shadow down here. A little blue in there. A little more depth. Some yellow ochre, some white. Oh, thank you for being here. I appreciate it. Thank you for the chit chat. Yeah, have a good one. Enjoy your Thanksgiving. I think I will be probably painting on Thanksgiving while things are cooking. At least that's the plan. Those of you that might be just coming in, we're doing Camille Pissarro. He was an Impressionist painter. He was born in 1830, I believe. The palette that we're using, the colors, are titanium white, a yellow ochre, cad yellow, cad yellow, a little bit of cad red. It's not necessary. Ultramarine blue, cobalt blue, some viridian here and there, burnt umber, burnt sienna, and raw umber are the colors that we have in here. I am trying to mix most of the greens. I don't know that I'm getting very accurate to his though. I have a feeling I need to get into that Viridian. I'm using a Transin paintbrush. I also use Rosemary & Co. Transins are more of a budget friendly option. So I tend to gravitate toward them on a daily. For daily use. Rosemary & Co. of course are amazing brushes, and there's a link in the description if you're interested in learning more about the supplies that I use. There is a list on my website. I've always found that interesting, what materials people use. I'm adding some ultramarine blue in here to give it a little depth, more like what he's got in here. Ultramarine and burnt umber mixed together makes a very good dark. Pissarro, he loved painting the bones of the landscape. You know, like you can see these gnarly trees, and think of it as like the bones of nature instead of the fluff. I love his gnarly trees in there. I'm adding yellow ochre and a little white down into here. Because of the reflection of the varnish on this reproduction, it's hard to tell what some of this is, like right in here. So I'm just guessing, because there's a reflection off of there. But I can see some yellow underneath there. That must be like a root kind of coming up here. Whoops. Come on, baby. He had a very strong habit of supporting younger artists, not financially per se, but if they needed a boost, a mental boost, he would encourage them. He was sort of known as like the dad of all these impressionists. He was the only impressionist who exhibited in all 8 of the shows. He encouraged Monet, Cezanne, Gauguin. I saw an article a bit ago that said that he felt like Van Gogh was either going to go mad or he was going to leave the Impressionist behind. He had 8 children over the span of 20 years, some of which became artists themselves. When I started this, I was fumbling with getting things set up, so it's actually better that you're here now than if you had been. I mistakenly thought I had time to paint, or not paint, to shoot a really quick swatching session of some samples that I got, and time kind of got away from me. Usually I have all the paints set up and ready to go. I failed to do that this time. This is off. I can see that now, because that is supposed to match that. Get a little green and yellow in there. I still need to make that a little more contrasty. Let's see. During his span of painting, he painted a lot of tree-lined roads and rural settings. Rural. That's a hard one to say. But his eyesight began to go bad. He got a strange eye infection, and he had to stay away from dust and such. So he would rent rooms and paint from the window, which I found really interesting because, as I said earlier, I have macular degeneration in my family, and sunlight, being out in the sun a lot, can impact it. And I try and take precautions. So I think it's kind of neat that he did that. I can see him sitting in a room looking out the window. I'm using just a little bit of walnut oil on some of this to get this upper layer this last layer on here because I used mineral spirits for the first layer, which is a thin. It's considered lean. And so now I can go over it with a little bit fattier and be fine. If for your palette colors you want to lean more toward an earthy palette tone, so the burnt umber and raw sienna and whatnot, that's more what you would want. You don't want like bright yellows and neon colors. I didn't realize it when I started it. There's a figure in here. I don't know if you can see that. Right here, there might be two. I think there's two walking. Which I found interesting. There's a lot more green on this house than what I have. So I'm going to mix some up. And there's some Viridian here too, just for I'm just going to dab some of this in here. Try and mimic what he's got. Again, I love this part where you're just like pushing paint around, and it's a very tactile experience. I am going to add a little purple here and there to get some of his to mimic some of his color usage. Trying to get this like brownish color in here with this green and burnt sienna. Oops, that's a little light. Some of the edges I've got too sharp also, so I'll knock those back. This is a study, it's not a copy, so I am trying to just get the sort of the look that he had. Without putting a lot of my own editorial information in. Chestnut bark, which is what these are, can be a little sneaky. It's not just brown. There's some lavender shadows. There's a little bit of green. And I'm pulling up some lavender over here out of dioxazine violet and a little white. And I'm going to put some of that violet in there. Over in here, there's some lavender in the shadows. I love his use of color. But as an impressionist, that's not to be. A big surprise. There's a little limb in there. I took the reference photo off earlier, and may again here soon. It's a really interesting. He married, and they were apparently had a very good marriage, all things considered. He was known to be a very calm person. He did not get worked up, it doesn't sound like too much, as some of the other artists did that he hung out with. He was sort of the calm father figure of the bunch. He is said to have worked with Cézanne and Monet, and like I said earlier, he's known for, supposedly he's known for saying quote that Van Gogh was either going to go mad. I think I already told you this bunch that though. long since I said it. I think I need to put some of that dioxazine violet in here to give that a little bit of depth. Oops. Let's see, what else do we need to know about Mr. Pissarro? What we have? His family owned a hardware store, of all things, and he did not like that. He did not want anything to do with it, so he took off when he was young and went to Europe to paint, to become a painter. And learned from the best. I'm looking at the reference and mine, and mine needs more reddish colors. More, the green is too bright. I need it to tone down a little. The green is a little too green. I did not use the Viridian in it. I went ahead and just mixed my own, and I think it's made a difference. It's too vibrant. It doesn't need to be that warm. Like right in here, there's kind of a shadow all the way up here. Again, I'm getting into that point to where it is, am I doing a copy or study? So I'm going to go ahead and remove the reference photo there. Said him and his buddy took off for Europe, and it was sort of like a you know, like a 1980s buddy movie plot. I see it's still there. There we go. I think I'm going to shoot for 3 o'clock, being the deadline for when I quit. I don't know if I will make it, but it'll be fun to see. He sounds like he was a really interesting guy, a good guy to be around. If you've ever thought of trying oils, I strongly suggest it. They are often given the reputation that they are difficult or that they are highly toxic, or both. And they, as long as you are not sticking your brush in your mouth and wear gloves when you're going to be handling certain things, there shouldn't be a lot of issue with things. And you can look at the tubes and get the toxicity information. Knowing how to read a paint tube is important no matter what type paint you use. So I'm going to add a little lavender in here, or a little violet here and there. I started this at noon my time, Central, and it's now about 10 till 3. So I think that's probably enough time for a quick study. And like I said earlier, I would do these all day if I could. Every day. I love doing studies. There is just something about it. It's very freeing to me. Okay. Let's get some of these lighter areas in here too. There is somebody standing right here. You can see their kind of the shadow of her dress, and the gentleman there standing beside her. I thought when I started it was a tree, so that's kind of cool. Try and get some of these lighter areas in here. The little yellow and white. I'm sure this was much larger than what I'm dealing with here. I have like 10 by 10. I guess it's 8 by 8 once I got it tight taped off. Yeah, there we go. That Viridian's working very well. if you're watching the replay and you have any questions, feel free to put them in the comments, or if you just want to say hey. Ooh, that's a little dark. That's okay. I can get that off of there. I'm going to go back in and try and get some of these yellows. And whites. I think that's, with that purple here and there, that's what makes it sort of sparkle. I know some of these marks are actually reflections on the surface of the paint and not highlights per se. So it's a matter of kind of deciphering which is which. About 5 minutes. Let's see, what do I need to? Need some green in here. That needs to come down. Looks like there's some limbs up there above the roof line that are showing. They're green. That needs to be widened a little. Come on, I'm trying to get a mark on there that will give the impression of a side of the building. Need a little more of that yellow and white. Some of these little, you can kind of see the bricks. Just an indication of needs a little brown in there. I have a puppy on my feet. So I love just the looseness of this. Okay. It is far away, so we don't want it to be totally clear. I think it's getting to where I'm like being too particular and I'm going to lose some of that looseness if I'm not careful. One, two, three. Okay, what is that? I need to lighten that up. I've got another tree trunk there that's kind of showing. It should be covered up more with some yellows and okay, Mr. Pissarro, you are an awesome dude. The thing that I like about him, not only are these nice and loose, but to find out that he was very supportive of other artists, was a good father, and that so many of his own children became artists. So he must have set a good example for a number of people, which is an admirable thing in my book. There's some lightness in here. This in here is very yellow. Well, that was fun. That was a good one to do. It's 3:05. He was not as known as Papa Pissarro. I don't see what year he passed away. Oops, I want to know that. Pissarro death. How did he pass away? He was 73 years old. Let's see, how did he die? Okay, he died on November 13th, 1903, at the age of 73. His health had been declining and his condition worsened rapidly after being diagnosed with influenza. And he passed away with his family around him. This feels like it needs to go in just a little. Not major, just a little. And have some darks in there to kind of give it a little bit of a depth back there. Okay. Yeah, this is getting into the point where I'm probably overdoing it. It's so much fun. Okay. So this in here is green blobs. Green blob right there. I think I have green blobbed enough. So that right there. Oops. Cover that right up. I'm seeing the shapes of things being a little off. Okay, I need to quit. I need to quit, or I am going to be picking away here for far too long. Far too long. Okay. She says as she keeps picking away. Okay. Oops. Keep getting that blue on my... There's some viridian back here that's... help give it some depth there. I have a newfound respect for him. I did not know a lot about him per se. That's just me taking my gloves off. Let's get this tape off of here. Let's hope it all comes off that clean. I didn't pull any paper off. That's wonderful. Let's see, it gives us those nice clean edges. Love those. Oops, see there, it pulled off a little paper. See how much better that looks without the... Oops. And let me put the reference photo back up there. I think I need more red down here, don't I? I think the red or the brown area is up a little higher. And that's why it looks off. Oh, I did. I just stuck my brush in my coffee. It's such a cliche, but I did it. I almost did it again too. Almost stuck my brush in my coffee. I'm just adding a little that burnt umber to get some more of that brown look to it when it's mixed with the green. That's Poncho. Goodness, what was that? White area, and I don't think it's reflection. I'm pretty sure it's a maybe what's around it needs to be darker. There we go. I know I'm going to play with this until I probably lose it, but I'm going to, so I need to stop and walk away. I do have a cup that is marked that says not your paint water. Because I have been known to do that. Okay. I think one thing I see is this needs to be less intense. Like that right there is a blue spot right there. So there has to be others. Mr. Barton is messaging me. Usually this is where I would holler at him and tell him to tell me to quit painting. Okay, I need to quit. I need to quit messing with it. I almost dipped it in my coffee again. I swear. I'm just touching up a couple of edges. Okay, okay, okay. I'm putting it down. I'm putting it down. Camille, ooh, I love this pencil. Pissarro. What is today? 24th? 11, 24, 25. Study. Detail. What else do I need to do? Oil on gessoed paper. Yeah, I'm still looking at it. Isn't that terrible? I just have a terrible time quitting. Look right in here. There is that is really lavender in there. My eyes, the longer I do it in a session, the more I start picking up colors. It's like my eyes just kind of adjust, like everybody's, I suppose. But, okay. Put it down. There we go. Take that away. Nice pencil. All right, thank you all for being here. I appreciate it. We did Camille Pissarro today, and it was really good getting in there and getting some juicy brush strokes. I mean, goodness. I love the, just the, yeah. I made that just now a little bit too dark, so let me go back in with some yellow and white. That's much better. getting some of this some of this sky in here breaking through that I missed. And there is what's that one do? That one goes up too. Again, I'm getting into territory where it's more of a copy than a study. That's not our intention here. Okay, I'm gonna quit. I'm gonna quit for real, for real, for real. Okay. All right, thank you for being here. I appreciate it. You all are amazing. Whether you're here for 5 minutes or the entire 3.5 hours, thank you. I appreciate it. I will catch you all on the next one. I'm not sure when I'm going to do it. Thanksgiving is this week, and I'm leaning toward painting every day. I need to get back into my daily painting habit. And you all are a great excuse to do that. So, all right. I'll talk to y'all later. Watch the post on the channel if you're curious about updates or when I'm going to be going live again. But thank you very much. I appreciate you more than I can say. All right. Stay safe. And if you're in the U.S., have a great Thanksgiving.